Thank you for being here. My name is Mandy Thomas, and I'm honored to be here with you. I'm excited to be speaking to you on the topic of words. I was a public school teacher before I became a classical homeschool mom, and I have 4 kids, and they are amazing, outdoor sports-loving kids. I have one incredible husband, thankfully just one, and I have a black lab now as of 6 weeks ago, and 2 parakeets, and a leopard gecko. So the 3 latter animals were actually an attempt to hold off on getting a dog as long as possible. And so you can see I finally lost that battle. So there are 2 handouts that I have for you today. One is just to fill in the blank as we go along with this session. Some of you like to write, are very tactile, so you're welcome to fill in the blanks. I have an arrow pointing down to one of them because one of them got misplaced, so it's actually supposed to be down further. And the other handout is a resource page that I just typed up in case you needed to refer to anything that I have talked about in the session. You're welcome to look up those resources. So, in this session, we are going to discuss the power of words. Can we all agree that words are powerful? Yes. What would we do without words? It's our primary method of communication. And one of the most powerful words, in fact, is your name. And so in an effort to learn one another's names even better and to actually socialize more and get in a community, we're going to play a name game. So in order to do this, we need to stand up and get in a circle. So since we're a pretty small group, we can all just form a circle right up here.
Practice a little bit.
And this will help us get to know one another better and hopefully lock it into your long-term memory, what each other's name is.
Do I need my badge?
No, you don't. So I'm going to use the syllables of my name to form motions to create some memory work for you to remember my name. So my name's Mandy, so I'm going to use the motion man, like this, I'm a man, and then D, sign language D. So I'm going to say it, man, D, and then the person to my left will say their name, and then the motions to their syllables of their name. So just be creative, think about what you could use. And it could be anything, it could be nothing related to what you're even saying. Mine just happened to relate. But my name's Mandy, so Mandy, and then we'll go around and everyone's going to create theirs, and then we'll go around twice more and everyone will do them with us. So, what is your name?
Well, I know my name. I'm just trying to think of my motion real quick.
Okay.
Can
I'm sorry, I
do
had to
sound,
start
or
with
do
you.
I have to do a motion, only motion?
You can do a sound. Sure.
Okay. Nikki, click, click. Because like a key.
Okay.
Nikki, click.
Okay, Nikki. Nikki. Click, click. Nikki. Okay.
Or wait, can I just do one motion? Let's just do that. Nikki.
Nikki.
No, that's fine.
Nikki.
I thought I had to do 2 because I had 2 syllables. So.
Yeah. I like it.
Well, your turn.
Yeah.
This is harder than anything.
This is hard.
Hey,
A lot for this afternoon. We might need some more candy.
y'all have to wake up.
Well, that was the one I was thinking of. Molly.
Hey.
Molly. Good.
Good.
Okay.
Oh.
Nice. Thank you, Molly.
Oh my goodness.
I think you should do
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I live in this world. So
Yes, good.
So Tina.
Tina. Nice.
I'm changing my name because I
I was thinking the same thing. I'm going to change my name and it's
don't know how to do
nothing.
this. Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that enough?
Yep.
Veronica.
Veronica. Okay.
Like the bottles at the bar, gin.
All right. Jen E.
Amy.
Oh, nice, Amy. Amy. Nice.
It's gonna make us move.
Yes, she is. I'm just going to do one that was my sign language name by a friend who spoke sign language, and she thought it was very appropriate because I was apparently a little bit, so I go, Julie.
Julie. I love it. Okay, we're going to do everyone's names and motions together now. So if we can remember them all. Ready? Nikki. Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Mandy.
D.
Nikki. Molly. Tina. Veronica. Jenny. Amy.
And
Julie. Okay, one more time, and then we'll lock it in. Ready? Mandy. Whoop, I do the F. Nikki. Molly. Tina. Veronica. Jenny. Amy. Julie. Nice. So hopefully now you know each other's names and you don't have to look at each other's name tags to see who is who. Thank you for participating. Okay. If you were here last year, I did a session on games in the classroom, keeping education fun. I cannot be sitting all day. I'm so sorry. It's just hard. It's hard for me. So that's why I try to incorporate some games, especially in the afternoon sessions. All right, so I don't know about you, but I have struggled learning people's names. And many times it was embarrassing to have someone come up to you that has introduced themselves over and over and over, and you still cannot remember their name. So in college, there were two girls that I would always mix up their names. I would call the one by the other one's name, and it was just stuck in my head that they were each other's names. So every time I would walk by these ladies, I would get the wrong name. Something else would come out. And I was so embarrassed by this that I started finally saying, when I would pass them, say, "Hey girl," because I could not remember their name, and every time I tried, it would come out wrong. So because of this, names are important to me. I just really think it's important to call someone by their name. It's hospitable. And it was once said that if you call someone by their name, they'll love it every time. If you call somebody by their wrong name, they will not love it every time. And so names are important. So I try very hard to use some kind of word play when I'm memorizing people's names. And so in my phone at church, I have a list of people's names. If I don't know them or have never met them, I will put some symbol by them. The lady had a red hat today, or this man came in with a big tattoo on his arm. And I'll put it by their name just to have some association, because it's easier to remember someone's name if you have something in your mind as a picture. So now I'm picturing you, Nikki, and so I can remember your name a lot more easily that way. So words are powerful. Names are powerful. In Proverbs 18:21, it boldly states, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits." That is powerful. What are we loving? As a teacher or parent or professional communicator, whichever reason brings you to this session, you're able to plant life or death with your words. So, what are you doing? We know that God's word brings life. It says so throughout Scripture. And in Psalm 119:25, it proclaims, "My soul clings to the dust. Give me life according to your word." So we know that God's word brings life. How can we bring life to the hearer? Can we? And if so, how can we? Does the hearer need understanding for us to bring life to them? I think the answer is yes, apart from Christ's supernatural transforming power, because you know He can do anything. He can make the unclear clear. But we as communicators need to bring clear understanding to the listener, or they are not going to understand what we're saying, and it's not going to benefit them. So, what I mean by life and death to the hearer is understanding or confusion, intimidation or inspiration. Is our job as communicators to make it clearer, not muddier for them. Have you ever been to a conference and thought, these people are so much smarter than I am? I can't even understand what they're saying. It's like they're speaking a foreign language. Just me? I hope not. I've been to several conferences, and instead of being encouraged, I felt discouraged because of all the unknown words. Don't take this the wrong way. I really love great speaking engagements. I love hearing from great speakers, or even some that are struggling like I am to communicate well. I love coming and learning, but if the terms are not defined, it's so hard to weed through that to grasp the information that is being portrayed. So, It's my hope today that you'll walk away grasping more fully some classical terms that are especially used around this conference and other classical conferences. And since we're attending a classical conference, let's start with the word classical. I looked up in Merriam-Webster's dictionary 3 classical terms, and these 3 are what popped up. So the first one is of or relating to ancient Greek and Roman world, and especially its literature, art, architecture, or ideas. So that was the first classical definition. The second, of or relating to music of the late 18th and early 19th centuries, characterized by an emphasis on balance, clarity, and moderation. And then the third was concerned with or giving instruction in the humanities, fine arts, and the broad aspects of science. So real quickly at your tables, discuss which of these 3 definitions do you think would be the best use for our classical education? Thank you. Which of these definitions best defines the word classical as we use it in education? As a classical school, which of these would be the best definition? Okay, so I heard in the middle here, I heard all 3 of them. Okay, so we're gonna break this down. It might have been a trick question. Of relating to ancient Greek and Roman practices. So we definitely are rooted in this ancient Greek and Roman world and the practices they used in order to learn. We do relate with music. We use music to help us learn a lot of things, and it's characterized by an emphasis on balance, clarity, and moderation. So in our studies, we do want to emphasize balance, clarity, and moderation. We want them to get a well-rounded education. And we are concerned with giving instruction in the humanities, fine arts, and the broad aspects of science. So it does relate to all 3 of these things. So you were right, all 3. According to classicalacademicpress.com, classical education is like a very large museum with many wonder-filled rooms that could be studied over a lifetime. It is a long tradition of education that has emphasized the seeking after of truth, goodness, and beauty, and the study of the liberal arts and the great books. Where does truth, goodness, and beauty originate? And anyone can answer. What'd you say? Jesus. That's always a good answer. Right. Jesus. Yes. He is the originator of truth, goodness, and beauty. And we can all agree on that, but did you know that there are classical schools that are non-Christian? So, my friend Julie and I were actually talking about this. Is everyone here going to be a Christian? Can I speak from that perspective? Well, I believe if you are a Christian, you should be able to boldly, in America at least, speak on that platform. But how do non-Christian schools teach then? It seems ludicrous, doesn't it? An article titled Classical Christian Schools, with the word Christian crossed out of it, on the website classicaldifference.com, claims that many teachers and administrators at these schools would prefer to openly discuss God as the source of morality and truth, but the length of their chain keeps them from the true power of classical education. The danger of these schools, cut off from the truth system of Christ, is that they will create a destination called paideia with no path to it. They cannot view the world rightly because the path, the logos, is unknowable. So all these teachers do is present ideas, and they say, what do you think? Where do you think this leads? They cannot present an idea of where it would lead because it's unknowable. And that just seems so sad, to create all these great, wonderful teachings and not have an ending to it. Classicalacademicpress.com goes on to say, what are the liberal arts? So these are just some terms that I've come across in classical education that I just wanted to define for you. So I'm going to go through a lot of terms here. What are the liberal arts? They are grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And those are the verbal arts of the trivium. Arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And those are the mathematical arts of the quadrivium. This approach to education also includes the study of Latin. And the classical approach teaches us how to learn and how to think. And that's on your handout too. Okay, so.
Can you repeat all that?
You can, I can, yes. And we'll be mulling over this again and again, so you'll get it again. But the verbal arts of the trivium are arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. I'm sorry, that's the quadrivium. The trivium is grammar, logic, and rhetoric, which I have right here. And some people call logic dialectic. So this is the trivium here. And then the quadrivium is arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And if I just messed you up on your handout, I have extra. So you can get that right. All of us are educators in some capacity. So I don't actually know what each of you teach, but if you aren't directly in the classroom, you are peer teachers, or you are a parent. And so in some capacity, you are a teacher. And we all want our students or fellows teachers to be able to fish, don't we? We don't want to just teach them things in order to load their brains and puff them up with a bunch of knowledge. We actually want to teach them to fish. We want them to think for themselves and to become productive, creative seekers of truth, goodness, and beauty. And that only comes from Christ. Words are powerful, and the way we use words is an indication of how we are feeling and what is on our hearts. And I'm reminded of this verse in Luke 6:45. The good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and the evil person out of the evil treasure of his heart produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. Wow, this is very heavy. This is a heavy verse, and we have this burden to carry in us to represent Christ well. Using our words, our actions, our motives even. How many times have I woken up with a selfish motive to teach my kids and just get through the day so I can have a break at the end? What is your motive, and how are you using it to be Christ-like in your world? Have you ever said something that you didn't mean to say? There are times that I've said something and meant it, but then quickly realized it was the wrong thing at the wrong time. And then other times I've just accidentally said the wrong thing. I have two examples of this for you, and one I'm going to share right now, and one I will wait till a little bit later. But my husband Jeremy and I were sitting in our community group, and we were talking about marriage. We were doing a marriage series, so we were discussing questions on marriage, and I quickly chimed in because I thought I had something amazing to say. And so I said, you know, when my husband and I were first married, I had all these expectations. I even had a list when I was in college of all the great things I wanted my husband to have. And one of them, the top one, because I wanted to be spiritual, was spiritual leader of our family. So when we were married, I just expected him to wake me up in the morning and say, let's read the Bible together. We should study his word. How about a devotion this morning? You know, I just expected him to do the things, initiate these things for me. Instead of me being the initiator, I wanted him to lead in this way. And eventually he did, but that was a bad expectation I had on my husband in the beginning. But instead of saying expectation, I said to our community group, I should have lowered my standards. And so all the group, according to my facial expression, knew that's not what I meant to say. And so everyone laughed, and I said, I meant expectation. I didn't mean to say lower my standard. My husband is amazing. So the tone that you say things can mean everything, right? Words are powerful. And the inflection you use can change it. So let's talk more about some words, some terms. One thing that really helps me learn the best is when people define their terms up front. So that kind of clears the muddy water and allows my brain to work the best. So let's discuss the words pedagogy and education. the last year, I came to this conference, and I heard the word pedagogy. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and a lot of these words I may be mispronouncing, so please don't take my word for what these say. But I was introduced to this word, and I thought, what in the world does that mean? And I don't have a great background in Latin because I was not a classical student growing up. I'm learning alongside my children now, which is amazing, and I'm so grateful for that, but I did not have this background. So a lot of these words are unfamiliar to me. So I wanted to make sure that you all knew what these words meant and how we can apply them. So pedagogy, according to Merriam-Webster, is the art, science, and profession of teaching. And according to etymonline.com, which is a very useful source on etymology, and that is the study of words, pedagogy comes from the Latin word pedagogia, which literally means to instruct or drive a boy or child. So instructing them and driving them. So pedagogy also refers to the art of delivering the content to be learned. So right now my pedagogy is on words. And Merriam-Webster defines education as the process of acquiring this knowledge, skill, and attitudes either informally or formally. So at your table, take a minute and discuss. What's the difference between education and pedagogy? And could they be used interchangeably?
Like, the pedagogy is like what they learn, and then unless you have both of them, you don't have a good effect. What they're saying is, like, if someone gives you a gift, how you sit.
Delivering. I wrote teaching, but she said delivering. Yeah, I think that the process of applying of educating.
But you must do this to do this. And then
Do you really?
So you're getting an education while I pay.
but
Okay.
before you can.
I mean, I'm gonna use that when we get back home, just so you know.
It's circular. It's, I guess what I'm trying to say.
I do think
As a teacher, right,
Okay, Kristen, I do this here.
yes, be able to acquire. It's rhetoric.
it goes both.
It's what the rhetoric is.
Physics.
Okay, what do you think? Are they interchangeable? Are they two different things? What do you think?
They work together
Mm-hmm.
because one's receiving the information and using it. The other is is showing, teaching the person. So it's
Right.
kind of like a
Cyclical. Right, so pedagogy is actually the teacher. So when you see this listed in our handbook, it makes sense now, right? Okay, they are teaching on this, so their pedagogy is this. But education is actually the student acquiring the skills. We are being educated, but we wouldn't necessarily use them interchangeably. They just do work together. You're right. Okay, let's talk about the word plenary. What is up with all the P words?
Yeah,
And
seriously.
yes, so there's another word we're about to talk about that was in the handbook that I noticed. So I actually highlighted it and wrote it to the side here. But plenary. Merriam-Webster says the word plenary means fully attended or constituted by all entitled to be present, which basically means a main session. So can we just say, like, clear, non-muddled terms? It's a main session. So that's why our main sessions are called plenary sessions. You're welcome. Okay, so the other word that I saw today was, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, progymnosmata. Progymnosmata. Okay, what in the world is it, and why is it another P word from Latin? The last breakout session there was a discussion on this word, and so I actually attended it to learn because I had never heard of that word before.
The nutshell definition in the last one because I was
You
like,
did?
I don't know the
Oh,
jargon.
good.
What-
Right. So please define these terms for me. They should at the end of the handbook just have, okay, this means this, this means this. So we wouldn't feel so left out, right? So this actually means, it means 14 steps or 14 different ways of writing. So in Greece, in the early ages, they would use these 14 steps as different ways to write different material. And so I actually have a handbook on, or a handout on it. So the different ways of writing, which was super informational and very intriguing. I put at the top how to say it. Progymnasmata. Progymnasmata, or you could say progym. The lady said either way is fine. Some people pronounce it one way or the other.
Spell that?
Progym.
Page 19 on this page? Yeah.
Here, I'll put it up here. Progym.
The last people I heard, they
Nasmata. Okay, so in a nutshell, 14 steps to writing. And these, if you notice in it, there's the word gym. In a gym, what do? Exercises. These were exercises for students to learn how to write well. And there's 14 of them. Real quickly, I'll let you know what they are. So it enabled the students to write about fables, narratives, description writing, proverb, Kreia, thank you, encomium, invective, comparison, speech and character, refutation, confirmation, commonplace, legislation, and thesis. So those are the 14 different types of writing exercises they would participate in. So they were working out their brain muscles by writing different kinds of ways. And so practically, whatever writing program you're going through will have these components in it, but the progymnasmata is 14, and then they go through these different steps to write. So these are just exercises to get your brain to think. Yay, I'm glad y'all learned this with me today. Okay, so let's go back to the word trivium. What does it mean? I know most of you have heard this word. Can anyone describe the 3 stages? So trivium literally means what?
The true, the good, the beautiful.
Okay, the trivium is 3 something, right? So tri meaning 3. Trivium means 3 what? Roads. 3 roads. Or 3 ways of coming together. So 3 of something coming together. 3 roads. Which practically for us means grammar, logic, or dialectic, and rhetoric. And so these 3 things, whether you say them this way or that way, they mean the 3 steps of learning in our grammar, middle school, and high school ages. However, if you are a lifelong learner, you will always be going through these 3 stages of learning. This is not lost on children. It's not left to children to go through these 3 stages. We are all learning these 3 stages no matter what we're learning that's new. So if I'm learning a new recipe to cook, I'm going through the grammar first. So the grammar is what?
What are the ingredients?
The vocab. Yes.
Memorization.
Yes, and if it's talking about a recipe, Julie, thank you, then it would be the ingredients. And so the vocabulary. In order to learn anything, you need to know the vocabulary of what you're learning. And so in the grammar stage, what age would this most relate to the best?
K through 3.
It is kindergarten.
Go up to 6.
Some people say this is just a rough age group. Even through high school, students are learning the grammar of things still. But roughly, this is what this means, K through 6. Logic and dialectic. That is, give me a quick synopsis of what that would entail. Why? Yes, questions.
That's the 4-year-old.
Questions, really? What, Mom? Why? How? When? Where? Why are you saying this to me? Why do I have to do it? Logic and dialectic. What does that sound like? What age group does that sound like?
7 through 9.
I would say, even a kindergartner sometimes says this, but yes, approximately 4th through 9th grade. But middle school, they would when teachers are in the dialectic phase, they typically refer to the middle school years, so 7th through 9th. But I would say this starts a little earlier for some than others. And then rhetoric. What is the rhetoric phase?
Wisdom.
I like that word, wisdom.
Application.
Okay. Wisdom, application. And this is usually referring to 10 through 12, whenever they have an understanding of their topic and then can then transform the material into their own work, creatively or not, however they want to make it more understandable to themselves, teach it to themselves first and then to someone else. That is rhetoric. So a lot of times when you see this word, you'll see it around writing, either in a poetic way or in a persuasive way, or it just means the material is in you, now you're regurgitating it in a way that makes sense to you. Logic and dialectics more wrestling with material, and grammar stage is more absorbing like a sponge the material. And so that's the trivium. And on the resource page, I've listed some helpful books in case you want to delve deeper into any of this. And I've personally read Classical Education Made Approachable by Classical Conversations, and it's an easy read. It's a super easy read, short book, but it describes the overall classical method and how you could apply it in your life. Whether you're a homeschooling family or public schooling family who just wants to implement some classical practices, it gives some ideas for that. All right, you smart classical students, now that you know what the word trivium means, what do you think the quadrivium means? Four of something. Okay. Quad meaning four.
The other half of the 7 liberal arts.
Right. So quad meaning four, it literally means equals 4 roads or four places coming together. And as we mentioned earlier, those 4 roads are arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, and music. Okay, remember I told you I had 2 examples to share of when I said something wrong. This one is saying something right, but at the wrong time. And so one of my dear friends just recently bought her first house. And it was super exciting. We were all just cheering for her husband and she as they moved into this first house. Well, I am gifted in organization and cleaning. And so I said, I'm gonna get a crew together and come help you. So that Friday, we went to her house and we just knocked it out. In just a couple hours, her house was totally clean and ready to move into. Well, that Saturday, I was not able to go to the house and be a part of the moving in process, but this other lady was. And she was an organizational queen. Everyone would come in, there was a ton of people helping, so they would come in and they would go to her and she would just tell them what to do, and it got done fast. So by the time I actually arrived Saturday, I walked in the house and it was so homey and put together already. And my friend came down with a flu, so she actually had to be in bed while everyone else did all this for her. So the lady actually did an amazing job. So I went up to her and I said, oh my goodness, how did you get all this done in such a little time, all while being pregnant? And she said, I'm not pregnant. Have you ever asked that question? When is it ever a good time to ask that question?
Never.
Never. Unless you know the person and you actually have heard that they are pregnant. It's never a good time. So she was not pregnant. That was the wrong the right thing, but at the wrong time with the wrong person, because it was actually a friend of hers that was pregnant, and I knew this in some way, and so I just thought it was her, and it was not, and that was very embarrassing. So, can we all agree that words are powerful, especially when you use them in the wrong way at the wrong time? Let's discuss liberal arts and humanities for a moment. I love what Martin Cawthron wrote on memoriapress.com in his article, 3 Classical Terms. He says, if liberal arts are the forming of the mind, then the humanities constitute its filling. So let's think about that for a minute. If liberal arts, I have trouble forming these words sometimes. If liberal arts are the forming of the mind, then humanities constitutes its filling. So the liberal arts are the how, and the humanities are the what of culture. The modern use of liberal arts refers to the trivium and the quadrivium, so all of this combined. And then the humanities refers to history, literature, and philosophy. So the how of culture and the what. And the what sometimes gets overlooked, doesn't it? Those are the things that we don't highlight enough probably in our high school years. I see it more played out in a college setting. But of course, literature and history are touched on in high school. Philosophy, it depends on your school system. Okay, lastly this afternoon I want to talk about Latin a little bit. So why Latin? Have you ever been asked that question? Why Latin? It's a dead language. Why should we be studying this? Or have you actually ever asked yourself that question? Why are we studying Latin? A classical blogger, Intoxicated on Life, shares 7 good reasons to study Latin. And I actually wanted to list out 7 points on the bottom of that page, but then I was like, well, I don't really want you to have 2 pages, so I just put 7, and then you can fill them in if you want to, or you don't have to. So 7 good reasons to study Latin. First, 60% of all English words are derived from Latin, and 90% of all 2-syllable words have a Latin root. That's pretty impressive number.
What is the second step?
It's 90% of all 2-syllable words have a Latin root. And then secondly, learning Romance languages will be easier. Romance languages derive 80% of all their words from Latin, and the structure is similar. So if you've learned English grammar, if you've learned how to parse sentences, if you've learned all the details of English, then you will be able to transfer that information to Latin, and from Latin to other languages more easily. So a lady who has studied Spanish in depth said as soon as she started picking up on Latin, after she had already learned Spanish, she said it would have made this so much easier if I had learned Latin first. So they're just similar in their structure. Third, English grammar will be more easily understood because English derives a lot of its words from Latin. Fourth, learning Latin has been proven to increase test scores. And I've heard testimony of that specifically on any national standardized test. I know there's a new test coming out that, or it's come out, that is for classically educated students. However, I think if you've learned Latin, you are more set up for success on any standardized test, whether it's classical or not. Fifth, it provides an open door to examine historical documents, because a lot of our historical documents have a lot of Latin words, and if you are not familiar with them, you'll have a hard time reading those. I think I would have a hard time reading them anyway. 6, it is the language of the sciences, logic, theory, and law. So if you go into any medical field, Latin is a great tool. It is the language of the sciences, logic, theory, and law. So if you have a student wanting to be a lawyer, tell them they must study Latin. Or if they ask why, maybe you can pick out one of these things. What are you going to go in? What's your path? And finally, 7th, it demands intellectual discipline, which in all classical learning, that's one of our goals, is to discipline our minds, to learn, to absorb, to train, to absorb lots of information so that we can become lifelong learners. The one and only Dorothy Sayers said, "I will say at once, quite firmly, that the best grounding for education is the Latin grammar. I say this not because Latin is traditional and medieval, but simply because even a rudimentary knowledge of Latin cuts down the labor and pains of learning almost any other subject by at least 50%. Wouldn't it be nice to learn more easily? If you have learned Latin, it will cut down the labor of learning by 50%. She says at least 50%. Did you know that you actually use Latin more than you think? I was surprised to look up some Latin words and discover they were some everyday common words that I would have used. These words and definitions were taken from Voxy.com, which is a language training website, and the words are on pieces of paper in those bowls in front of you. So if you would take turns grabbing a piece of paper out of there. Don't lose the paper though. We're going to play a game in just a minute with them. But grab a paper, and one at a time, we'll do some popcorn. Just pull the paper out, read the word and the definition. And we'll go through, let's start over here at this table, and we'll go this way.
A priori. Based on hypothesis or theory rather than experience.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bona fide, unquestionable, in good faith.
Nice.
Quid pro quo, of equal exchange or substitution.
Per se, in itself, intrinsically of an inherent nature.
Ad hoc for one specific case or specifically.
Pro rata, proportionately in equal parts, split a check.
Impromptu, spontaneous, without preparation.
Okay. Were there any other ones?
One more in that first
There is
bullet.
one more.
Okay. Would you mind sharing that one?
Ergo. Therefore, consequently.
Awesome. Okay. If you wouldn't mind putting those back in the bowls, we will play a game with them in just a second. And some other words that we've been discussing today. Okay. Oh, right now we will actually. So, have you ever played the game Fishbowl? Anyone ever play a game Fishbowl? Okay. So, this game is divided into 3 rounds, and what we'll do is divide up into 2 teams. So, I'm so sorry. Well, you girls can go to this table. Or you don't have to go to that table, but you're part of this team, and then you 3 can be a team. So it'll be 3 against 4. The first round, a team member will come up, and we'll put all of these in one bowl, and you'll pick one out of here. And the first round, you will be able to describe the word without saying the word. So, for example, the word is impromptu, but I wouldn't be able to say that. I would have to say, you can say the definition, you can use it, put it in your own words, but you could say spontaneous without preparation. And someone on your team would need to say impromptu. Okay? So if they say it and you get it, you put it to the side and pick another word. You have 30 seconds to try to get as many right in your team as you can. And then the next team will come up and try to get as many right as they think, or as that they can. So that's the first round. The second round, we'll put all of them back in the bowl, and then you will be able to say only one word. And is not included, so I'm not going to be mean like that. But you can say one word out of all of it. So if I did impromptu again, I might say not thinking or something like that. So that's 2 words, but okay, you can use 1 or 2 words if you have to, but 1 word, and that's all you can say. And if you say the wrong word, like, oh, I didn't mean to say that one, sorry. Then the third round, you will come up and you won't be able to say any words. You will just have to act out the thing. So this is a little bit trickier because it's Latin and words that we've been discussing in this session. However, y'all are smart, so I believe you will do great. So I need to get my phone out, and we have 30 seconds. This is great because I'm almost finished with the session, and this won't take too long. So I'm going to pull this over here. The winning team, by the way, gets some chocolate, so this is pretty important. Okay, so if this team would like to go first, pick someone to come up to be your first player, and they will grab a word out of the bowl.
And I could say how many words?
The first round, you can say as many words as you like.
Definition.
Right. Let me get my time wrap, though. And only this team is guessing. However, if you know it and your team is not guessing it, you can put it back in the bowl and pick another one, okay? And then you'll have a chance later maybe to do it. Okay, let's do a timer let's do a stopwatch. Okay, ready? Go.
For one specific case, or specific.
And here's some of these words. Okay, so put it down on your side. Yep. There we go. No, you can do the next one. Yes. Yeah. This will be your side. This will be your side.
Spontaneous.
Without preparation.
Impromptu.
Teaching based on Greek and Roman classical.
Okay, stop. Good job. Okay, so your team got 3, 4. Good job. Okay, so now.
Can we just read all the words?
Oh no.
Impromptu, ad hoc. There you go.
Hey, whatever method you need to use, right? Okay, go.
Proportionately in equal parts.
Prorata.
The process of acquiring knowledge and skills, etc.
Acquired, not education.
Okay. Trivium and quadrivium.
3 and 4 roads. Grammar, logic, rhetoric.
You can only read what's on here.
You can use your own words, but your time's up now.
Okay.
Okay, so just put that one back in. Nice job. Okay, next team.
This is just our one word, right?
No, until we get all these, we'll be using, this round will be all the words you can think of to describe. Just can't use that word. No, the round hasn't ended yet. We're going to use all of these first, and then we'll do the next round. Okay, ready? Go.
Unquestionable in good faith. Good faith. In good faith. Unquestionable.
Bona fide.
There you go. The trivium and quadrivium. 3 plus 4 makes 7.
7 roads.
Okay, time's up. Man, that one's trumping y'all. Who is going to get it? Good job.
I'm going to find that one. We're going to get it out of the way. You can thank me for it later. Ready?
Ready, go.
Equal exchanging substitutions.
Oh, wait, what?
Equal exchanging substitutions. Balance, back and forth.
Balance.
Like one for me, one for you.
Rotate.
No.
Quid pro quo.
Yep.
Quid pro quo.
I teach it the first stage of trivium.
First, what grammar?
First, yes. 4 roads. What's it called? Yep.
Quad.
Oh, good job. Okay. Nice. Okay, next team. Pull that up a little bit.
$25,000 pyramid.
All right, go. You knew her name.
Second stage of the trivium.
Logic, dialectic.
Trivium and quadrivium.
7 liberal arts.
You got it.
in itself, intrinsically, of inherent nature.
Per se.
Yeah. The art of delivering the content to be learned.
Pedagogy.
Stop. Good job. Nice work.
Wrap 'em.
I know. Maybe we'll just next round we'll do this. Okay, Julie. There's not that many. There's just like 8 left, so.
It's gonna take me 5 minutes.
Okay. Ready? Go.
History, literature, and philosophy.
Humanities.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Fully attended or constituted by all. It's this morning, it's gonna be, it's like maybe at night, it's that weird word that starts with a P.
Oh, the prognostimata.
No, but that's a weird word. It's fully attended or constituted by all. The main session.
Oh, the prize.
Plenary.
Oh, good job.
3 roads, grammar, dialectic, and
Trivia.
rhetoric.
Okay, stop. Good job. All right, yeah, keep them over there. Okay, we only have 3 more. And if your team gets them all and you have time left, y'all will start the next round with the time you have left. Okay, ready? Go.
Based on hypothesis or theory rather than experience?
The a priori.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Therefore, consequently.
Ergo.
Third stage of trivium.
Rhetoric.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, you have 9 more seconds. So let's put them all back in this bowl, which is not a very big
Leave
bowl.
them open.
Sure. Yeah, just put them in there. And this round, you only have 1 word. So you'll need to think, what did someone else say? Yeah, you finished. You'll have to think, what did someone else say that I can just highlight the best word out of that whole thing, okay? And I'm sure the acting out round may be a little tricky with this. All right, ready? Go.
Spontaneous.
Impromptu.
Nice.
Learning.
Pedagogy. No.
Okay, time's up.
What?
Education.
That's it.
Okay, good job. Oh my goodness, I didn't even count. Oh well, everyone gets chocolate. I forgot to put your score up. Okay, we'll just say, no, I'm just kidding. Ready, go.
Okay. Proportionally.
Prorata.
Roads.
Trivium.
Via.
Vium.
The quadrivium.
Quadrivium.
Yeah.
Constituted.
Constitute. Ergo. Prorata. Prognostimatic. Grammar.
Stop.
Vocabulary.
Plenary.
Okay, who's next?
Yes.
Gee, I was like, I can't remember your name, but I got your sign.
Here's my sign.
Starts with a V, right? All right.
You ready?
Ready, go.
Intrinsically.
Per se.
Nice.
Greek.
Classical.
Nice. Y'all are smart.
Theory.
Philosophy? No.
Stop. Sounds hard.
Back in, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, ready, go.
Hypothesis.
Purse. Aprion.
That was yes. That's
I still don't know that word.
substitution. Remember?
Impromptu.
Nope. The other one. It's in.
Quid pro quo.
Yep.
I cannot.
3.
Trivia.
Nope.
The dialectic grammar.
Rhetoric.
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 Third.
Stop.
Oh. Good job.
Put that one back in.
You were so animated that I let you go over 5 seconds. Because I got distracted. Okay. All right, we'll do a couple more rounds.
Better at guessing then.
You were great at guessing. Okay, ready, go.
Therefore.
Ergo.
Unquestionable? Bonafide? Yes.
Nice job. Remember, you can pass if you don't get it.
Specifically.
Stop. Nice job. Okay, 2 more. So, who do we start with? Do we start with your? Do we start with his team or no? We started with Tina, right? Okay. So this will be the last one.
This is the one word thing.
Ready? Go.
Okay. Delivering.
Oh, wait a minute. Education. No.
Delivering the other one.
Pedagogy.
I messed up. I said no. Time. Literature.
Humanities.
Ah, she's good. She got it. All right. 7.
Stop. Liberal arts.
Latin.
Liberal arts.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, y'all tied. Okay, if we had time, we would do the last round of just acting out. So I hope you see that game is really helpful in learning spelling words, vocabulary words. You can use it in a Latin setting. It's just fun to incorporate games into learning. Can we all agree that words are powerful? They even help you win or lose a game. Etienne Winger tells a story about 2 stonecutters. And they were asked a question hundreds of years ago when they were at work. One responded, "I'm cutting this stone perfectly square." And the other responded, "I am building a cathedral." And then the other one said, "Well, of course, we're building a cathedral." What you're doing matters. Every word you speak matters and the tone you use matters. And I hope that what you're doing is not because you have a job and are earning money. Because what you're really doing is building a cathedral. You're inspiring the next generation of leaders to see truth, goodness, and beauty. But more importantly, you're pointing them to the one who is the author of truth, goodness, and beauty. We are teaching them how to learn and how to think. Thank you for joining me in the study of words. I hope you walk away with some better understanding of words and how they are used in classical settings. And I hope that you not only learn them, but can help someone else along in their journey of learning these words also. Let's pray and ask God to make our minds become sponges, because there are so many things that we need to learn at the conference this weekend. Lord God, thank you so much for this time we've had to discuss words. You are the author of words. You created language. You created many languages. What a creative God you are. We're so thankful for the ability to speak and to communicate clearly to one another. And we ask that you would help us to do that, Lord. Help these ladies to enjoy these sessions, to walk away with something that is eternal. Not just for the next day, but forever, Lord. We just ask that you would help our minds to become sponges so that we can absorb, but also help others along in this journey of classical education. In your name I pray. Amen. Thank you.